I am a Templar, though I am not proud of my status. We preach godliness, justice, thought, law, yet in the shadows we search for the darkest secrets of our world. Once we discover them, they are ours. The other folk of Oriath and beyond will never know what lurks beneath our own realm. What powerful magics hide beneath the surface? Who watches us from the skies and stars above? Unless one of our own betrays the Order, a crime punishable by far more than death. Those who betray the Templars suffer for all eternity, forever ablaze by the flames of innocence and divinity. That has been enough to dissuade any dissent. Yet now, after all this time, I, Loret Dale, seek to share some of the deepest secrets of the Templar. I know my punishment. I accept it. If you are in possession of this journal, you own what the Templar never want to see the bright light of day. These secrets are powerful. They could shift the shape of Rayclast itself, the origin of divinity and corruption, where the Atlas came from, who might control the cleansing flame and the terrible tangle, how to catch leviathans of the world's ocean trenches, dozens of buried truths. But this entry describes what made this land dark and its people selfish and horrid. This entry explains original sin. The world was not always as it is now. Skies were bright, lands green, and people generous and kind. Then they arrived. The Scourge. It took decades to discover where they invaded from, but the Templar believed they broke into our own reality from a realm beyond our existence. Most refer to it simply as Beyond. These Scourge beasts, often called demons by the common folk, seemed mostly animalistic, unthinking and voracious. Yet their masters revealed themselves in a balance of terror, showcasing not only their monstrous might, but their sinister intelligence. It began with the horrifying Badet. He entered our realm and began twisting the lives of our people, promising them immortality, power, and wealth in exchange for eternal damnation. Many thought it to be a worthwhile bargain. All were wrong. They became mutated versions of themselves, undying, incredibly strong, and buried in riches, but accursed and bound to the will of Badet, who spread his name as the Archangel of Death. The winds of fate shifted when a new demon lord entered the fray, battling with Badet. Some folk fell prey to this monster's predations, their minds melting, their mouths ceaselessly muttering its name, Katash. It spread no goal, no message, only commanding its horde of minions and brainwashed mortals to feed and hate. Our world fell from grace, consumed by the death and hatred of the Scourge. Then, a third demon lord appeared, Gore. Like Katash, it had no concrete endgame besides consumption, though it seemed to work with Katash to fight back Badat's hellish hordes. War washed over Rayclast and back into Beyond. Eventually, Badat, Katash, and Gore lost access to our own world, weakened greatly by their own civil conflict, and a particularly radiant hour of divinity, bolstered by the might of mankind and the Templar. Nothing reverted to its former state. Our world was forever changed, scarred by the Scourge, and the threat of them returning is always present, lurking in the mind of its people, unless they were to forget. Upon the establishment of our order by Innocence and the High Templar, the most terrible secrets were hoarded and wiped from the heads of lesser folk, the Scourge, Badat, and beyond. they would all be forgotten and buried beneath tomes of original scripture and deep relic vaults. The Templar could carry this burden. But what if someone discovered these Templar secrets and tried to manipulate them? Tried to use them to heighten their own power? Well, that's a tale for another time. Another era in this treacherous land of Rayclast. I sit here, gilded chalice in hand, night lamp on my desk, prepared for the second sacrament, and I think of Lycia. Poor Lycia. If only she'd known how her pact with the Archangel of Death would mutate her, horrify her, and what it would mean for the future of our world. Now, we cannot escape Baydad's gaze. Ever.